local people. Important issues. CBS 10 WILM's weekly focus on the Lower Cape Fear region. This is Byline Wilmington with your host, Don Ansell.
Welcome and good morning. Well, today, more on that national report card with local perspectives on the first 100 days of the Obama presidency. Our guests are leaders from the two major parties. Alex Dale is the chair of the New Hanover County Republican Party, and Sandra Sheridan is an executive committee member of the New Hanover County Democratic Party, and thank you both for being here. So on Wednesday, the president held a news conference on his 100th day in office. Alex, how'd you think he did?
I think he does a really good job of conveying his message to the people. He exudes a great confidence, and I think that's important, especially in these times of economic uncertainty. I did like the fact that he praised President Bush's steps to put some things in place for the possibility of the swine flu coming in here and the steps he'd put in there. And I think he continues to put forth a message that we need to all work together to improve our country. And I think that's an important message during these tough economic times.
He handles himself well.
He does handle himself well. And that's something that I've heard from a number of folks, that the way he conveys his message is very well said. I don't agree with what he says all the time, but I like and appreciate the way he says it.
Sandra, what did you think?
Well, of course, I would say that he's doing a fantastic job. I agree with Alex. I think he has a personality and a leadership style that conveys strength. There are people who, despite the fact that they do not agree with his policies, do believe that he's doing what's best for the country, even though their ideology may have some differences in how they would go about it. But I do believe that Barack has demonstrated to the American public that he is a president of all people, that he is here to do what is best for the United States, and he has taken on some challenges that has, frankly, caused some concern in his own party, because people feel that maybe he was going to be a little bit more of a liberal than what he has demonstrated that he is being. But I think he is decisive. I think he's analytical, and I think his approval rating, which is 61%, equivalent to that of Reagan and Clinton, demonstrates that the American public, again, despite whether or not they believe his policies are the best policies, think he is doing what's best for the country.
I was doing a little research online, and I came across an ABC poll that gave him a 69, this particular poll, 69 approval rating. What does that say to you, Alex?
Well, I think it's what Sandra just said, that people respect his leadership ability. I think an interesting poll to look at would be, what do they view, how pleased are the American people with Congress's actions? And I think that's a much smaller number. And
always is, though, isn't it?
Well, it is. And I heard an interesting comment from a representative, Republican representative from Iowa, who said, I think the president really wants to be bipartisan here, but Congress isn't letting him. And I thought that was an interesting statement, because I think people are still believing the message from the president that he wants to work with both sides.
I thought on further research on that number, I found that that 93% of that 69%, 93% of the Democrats approved of what he was doing. Only 36% of Republicans agreed with what he was doing. Are we becoming more polarized?
Well, I'm not so sure if we're becoming polarized, but I do believe that the Republican message is a different message from their hero, who I think is Ronald Reagan for the Republican Party. And I think the Republican Party has always had conservatism as their primary principle, but I do believe that the party now is embracing more regional demographics than it is ideology, and I think that's causing some discontent.
How do you respond to that, Al?
Well, I think there is a strong contingent within the Republican Party that does look to the Ronald Reagan principles, and we do hold to those values. I do think also that I would not necessarily agree with the fact that maybe the Republican Party is becoming more regionalized. I don't agree with that concept, but I do think that the Republican message needs to be conveyed in a better way. because our values are good. Our ability to convey the message that comes with those values, we need to
There are
improve on.
fewer people now who categorize themselves as Republicans. Is it a shrinking party?
I would not say it's a, well, if you look at the pure numbers, you could say it's a shrinking party. But I don't think the message that Republicans share with some independents is necessarily a shrinking message. I think the conservative message is still strong. The Republican Party needs to do better, and I think we will do better.
Do better in how they present their message?
Right, in how we present our message, how we explain that what we stand for is best for America, and not appearing as someone who's just in opposition to what another party's doing, but that how our message is better than what we're hearing from Washington right now.
Why do you think the Republicans lost the election?
The presidential election?
Yeah.
I would think it was a number of factors. There was great discontent with the Bush administration. I think we all recognize that. And I think there was some anti-Bush vote. You'll see polls on both sides of that saying sometimes that it wasn't an anti-Bush vote. So you see both sides of that argument from time to time.
Was it a mandate for a change in direction?
Well, I think it was a mandate for change in direction from some of the policies of the Bush administration. I do think that. I also believe, though, that it's not the change that I think the president spoke of last night. What I get concerned about is he doesn't feel like Washington is changing enough. Well, the problem with that is he wants Washington to change to agree with him. And so I don't agree with that message that Washington needs to change. Washington does need to change in that people need to still stand up for what they believe in, but it doesn't mean we necessarily have to agree with the president's
Sandra,
policies.
comments?
Certainly. I strongly disagree with the fact that the president wants Congress to agree with him. I think anytime you have a leader who has the capability of bringing in so many diverse people into their cabinet with certainly divergent opinions, is not someone that's looking for someone to be a yes person. I do believe the president has a defined agenda. I do believe the election was a mandate for change. I think some of it was anti-Bush policies, but I also think that the Republican Party is not the inclusive party that it needs to be. And the demographics of this country has changed. And when you have 200,000 Republicans that have changed their registration, then I think it sends a message that you need to be a little bit more inclusive.
We're going to come back with our guests and talk more about the first 100 days right after this. Stay with us.